Sophie, exciting news. What is it?
What is it? We now have memberships open for you guys to join. And why would we do that, Liam?
The reason why you would join the Blue Banana thing is to get exclusive content such as members-only videos where we answer your in-depth questions about whatever it is you want to ask us.
So just make sure to leave a comment below with your questions and we shall answer them in an exclusive video.
Sophie, what other kind of benefits do our special members get?
Our special members will get very special badges next to their names so that your names will pop up and will stand out in our comment section so that you can be elite. And you can also have access to some fun emojis.
That's so cool. I like that. If you can't become a member, we understand. We love you anyway. In fact, we love you more. No, we don't. We love you at the very least equally, I would say.
I can confirm.
Please do subscribe. Every subscribe gives our dog Blue a pat, and every membership does what, Sophie?
It helps us pay our bills. No, it helps us pay our editor and it will be used to fund our podcast so that we can keep bringing you fun episodes of the Blue Banana podcast.
Yeah, that's about it, I think. Yeah, do it or don't. It's really up to you.
But please do.
Please do. We would appreciate it. That's what we had to say, and on with the thing.
Hello, you crazy people, and welcome to the Blue Banana Podcast. My name is Liam, and with me I have Sophie to the right and O'Hara to the left.
Oh, this is crazy because I don't know if I'm to the right of you or to the left of you now. My mind can't figure it out.
Well, clearly I'm Sophie.
Okay, right, yeah.
The whole point is that for the first 7 or so episodes, is that me?
Yeah.
That's me, Sophie.
Now tell a story about shitting your pants, Sophie.
So this one time, guys, okay, so let me tell you about it. I was like maybe 12 or 13. I was at the beach.
Yeah, das ist gut story, Sophie.
So basically, for the first 7 or 8 episodes of our podcast, we'd been lying to you about our identities. And the real conspiracy is that, yes, I am indeed Liam.
Oh, shit. The lore deepens.
The Blue Banana lore.
Banana lore.
All right. Do you guys have your tinfoil hats? Because we're going to be discussing conspiracies today.
Obviously.
It's more of a tinfoil cap.
Yeah, mine looks, it looks kind of like the pickle things, like the, spiky hats they had in World War I.
Oh, yeah.
In the Prussian army.
What your side did, I suppose, yeah.
Don't appropriate my culture, man.
Today's episode is about conspiracies.
Good idea, Liam.
Thank you. Yeah, Liam's such a fuck up.
Liam, you did fuck up this episode.
Yeah, you did.
But seriously, so something that I've realized throughout our episodes is that we're all quite skeptical people. We can all be quite skeptics.
I'm not sure about that.
And really?
What?
I'm also a gullible and dumb person, obviously.
After having gone through that whole episode on the supernatural, I would agree with what Liam is saying. Liam is a truth-talking, handsome person, and I agree wholeheartedly.
That was a meta joke, so O'Hara, Manu.
Yeah, German humor, you won't get it.
I'm really regretting this introduction already because I can't keep up. I cannot keep up with this. Are you guys interested in conspiracies? Do you guys delve into conspiracies a lot, or are you someone who just thinks of it as just crazy talk?
Against my better judgment, I do enjoy conspiracy theories, but they often do lead to very dangerous wells.
I would also say, I like delving into conspiracy theories, though I think I can also enjoy a conspiracy theory even if I think it's bullshit. I do enjoy watching flat earth people trying to defend their stuff, but then there's also things that
emphasis on trying, though. That's the fun of it. Yeah.
But yeah, there's also things that are more interesting and dangerously, as Liam said, more dangerous to get into. So
the reason why I picked this topic is because I'm sure you guys saw the Oscars debacle recently.
Oh no.
The slap.
That slapped, yeah.
I won't slap again.
Okay, you'll get slapped. But for those of you guys who haven't watched it, I don't know who hasn't watched it.
A month old
but
now.
by this point. But basically at this year's Oscars, we saw Will Smith get up on stage, respond to a distasteful joke that Chris Rock made about Will Smith's wife, who suffers alopecia, and he slapped Chris Rock in response. But the crazier thing is that, you know, some people also think that it's staged.
That was trending.
Or that it was staged. Yeah.
I don't think that sounded like a very authentic slap.
I would completely agree. I thought that it was 100% real. And then his responses when he sat back down as well, when he was swearing at him, I thought it seemed quite authentic. But then again, you know, they are actors.
I mean, I was about to say, it
actor.
seems quite authentic, but at the same time, Will Smith isn't that great of an actor. He just plays Will Smith in every film, and I bought this. If it was staged, he deserves the Oscar for that performance, not the one he actually won it for.
Well, it's really interesting because actually, coincidentally, I bought his audiobook like just like a week ago before that happened.
What's it called? How I Slapped Chris
Will.
Rock.
Yeah, that'd be a good title. So yeah, that was really interesting. I was like, oh damn, because like, I mean, I haven't finished it, but basically a big part of it is, you know, about his family and, you know, being there. His biggest childhood trauma being kind of that he never stood up to his father when he was like, you know, talking down or like beating his mom. So that's like his biggest regret in life, that he always felt like a coward. And I felt that was really interesting because that kind of felt in line where like he overreacted and was like, someone insulted again, like a female figure in my life. But this time, you know, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to do something about it.
To be fair, it was done in the worst possible context. In this auditorium full of people on a show that's being broadcast globally.
Or arguably the best possible context.
Argue that.
I mean, from an outside perspective, it was. I didn't even know the
For our
Oscars were happening
entertainment?
in the first place.
Me
I was
too.
like, Will Smith
And that's
slapped.
the point. That's the point. People are saying that it was staged so that the Oscars could become relevant again, because the Oscars have sort of declined in significance or relevance in the real world. But then, you know, when it happened, it was trending again.
Yes, maybe they're learning a thing or two from like YouTube boxing and all those kind of matters.
Yeah.
It's like the Oscars isn't going to be about the awards anymore. It's going to be about the drama. Like who's going to smack who.
As Liam said, I think, yes, they're actors, but not that good an actor. And like that entire sequence was just too authentic. Like first at like nervous kind of, I'm laughing with this because I don't know how to react to it, processing it. This impulsive reaction going up there, slapping like, you know, Chris Rock not knowing what the fuck to do. Kind of like
It was
like
legitimately awkward, like hyper cringe awkward after that moment.
And then like when he was like shouting at him, right? Like you could tell like he was like, that was just red. Like he was just seeing red. So I don't know. I'm skeptical about this one.
Skeptical. I mean, that's the fun thing about conspiracies, right? Because people who make the conspiracy theories are skeptical about an event or some sort of phenomenon. And then people who respond to conspiracy theories are skeptical about a skeptical opinion.
It's true.
I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, I think in general, what's interesting is like there's like different kinds of conspiracies. I feel like the big ones, you know, like everything that's relatively politics centric. I feel like that kind of comes off this sense that it's really hard to keep track of, like, I think on the one hand side, it's really hard to keep track what's happening in the world. And on the second hand, like we also like are so connected to the world as never before, because like 50 or 100 years ago, I mean, you'd maybe read your local newspaper and maybe like what's happening like in your country, but you'd have like very selected, you know, access to information and what's happening in general. While as now, like you're so bombarded with stuff from all over the world, and you know, and like I think people also feel like they don't understand. I mean, I don't know. Like if you go like, you know, explain blockchain and explain artificial intelligence and all these things, even though like I've actually studied computer engineering, like at some point you can't be an expert in everything, and it gets really difficult, you know, to keep an overview of what's happening. And I think it's easy as a person to like look for a simplified view of things, which is not to discredit that there is like actual conspiracies like that actually happen, like looking at the, you know, the CIA in like the 60s going a bit overboard with there.
And also there's a bit of a problem because the word conspiracy has become synonymous with crazy, whereas conspiracy, it's actually a fairly plain word. It just essentially means a group of people doing something in secret. Like if two of us were talking behind one of the other one's backs, that's a conspiracy. I'm not saying we're doing that, Manu, to you, But it would be a conspiracy, hypothetically.
Wait, mano me or mano you?
It's a good point. Liam, over to you.
Liam, back to you. That's actually like the funnest part or the craziest part, because I started reading up on the Illuminati for that purpose, because I suppose Illuminati is probably one of the greatest conspiracies of our era, or something that, well, that's the funny thing, it's not even of our era, but something that has sort of refound light and fame in sort of our era. But it actually started because of a secret organization that, well, Manu, whoever is Manu today, from...
I'm keeping this up. Oh my God.
I thought we gave it up, but then we brought it back.
I think we're giving it up.
Okay, we're gonna call it. But it started from a secret Bavaria, like it was a secret group that started in Bavaria by a lawyer who was opposed to the church and who was promoting secularism and who was opposing government control and things like that. But then because he was also a member of the Freemason Society, and because they were, they had to do a lot with like the wealthy and so, like secret dealings and things like that, it became such a big conspiracy, or it became a big scandal or a big deal about like controversy about supposed wealthy people of society doing things in secret, doing shady things, and they were actually banished because of some sort of law, even before the French Revolution. But then it's only sort of like recently now people are saying that all of these celebrities, all of these, wealthy, famous people are all part of the Illuminati.
Or clones, or lizards.
That is really interesting. I was not aware of that.
And apparently some people say that, I don't know how true this is, so, maybe someone can fact check for us and let us know. But apparently the reason why it actually sort of had a resurgence is because there were a couple of people, I think this was still back, I think it was in like the 1960s, they printed a book called Discordia or something like that. I think it was Discordia, where basically their purpose was for the fun and enjoyment of spreading chaos and spreading misinformation, just to make people think.
Fun.
And so they made these claims, but they called it the Illuminatis, and that's why it sort of had a resurgence, I think. Or some people are attributing it to that.
Early day fake news.
Exactly.
Pretty much. That is really, I was not aware of that. That is so cool. Did you look that up?
I did. I had to look it up because I have a few friends who are really into the Illuminati and who are really, everything that, anytime something happens, they're always like, oh, it must be the Illuminati. That has to be the Illuminati. I have a few friends who definitely believe the Illuminati is real. So I had to search it up to see, what it was actually about, because it's something that I've heard, ever since I think I was in primary school, but never something that I really knew what it was about. You see like the triangle.
So Sophie was basically part of the Illuminati, but didn't know she was part of the Illuminati.
As a secret society, you still essentially don't know what it's about.
That is very true.
Is that like, okay, I'm thinking, do you have like any favorite conspiracies?
Do I have any favorite conspiracies?
Both of you. Yes.
Oh, I do, because there's one that involves the place where I live. Have either of you ever encountered someone who believes that Australia does not exist?
Well, not seriously. I've seen like the joke.
Well,
I know there's a video. I know there's a YouTube video why Australia isn't real and like how we fake it every morning, kind of like.
It turned into a meme, as like most wacky conspiracies do, but it did actually start out as a serious thought by, I believe, a person by the name of Asher Wolf, who made a now deleted post on Twitter. I shall read it to you. Hats on firmly, everyone. We are going down the conspiracy hole. Australia is not real. It's a hoax made for us to believe that Britain moved their criminals to someplace. In reality, all of these criminals were loaded off the ships into waters, drowning before they could ever see land again. Australia is a cover-up for one of the greatest mass murders in history, made by one of the most prominent empires. Australia does not exist. All the things you call proof are actually well-fabricated lies and documents made by the leading governments of the world. Your Australian friends, they're all actors and computer-generated personas, part of the plot to trick the world. If you think you've ever been to Australia, you're wrong. You're terribly wrong. Sorry, I haven't read all of this. The plane pilots are all in on this.
All of
And
them.
all of them. All of the plane pilots
It's part of their
are in on this.
training. 101, fake Australia.
And have in all actuality only flown you to islands close nearby or in some cases part of South America, where they have cleared space and hired actors to act out as real Australians. Australia is one of the biggest hoaxes ever created, and you have all been tricked. The end.
So you two are actors? Is that the takeaway?
Computer
from this story?
generated.
Well, we could be
personas.
computer generated because you've never met us in real life. Manu,
Literally,
so
I do.
guess
I have never met
it's
you.
now
in
on
real
you
life.
to decide if we exist, and if we do, are we telling you the truth? Hence why I referred to the conspiracy earlier behind your back.
What about you, Jackman?
Oh, either fake or an actor.
He's really,
I guess he
he's
is an
actually
actor. He is an
Wolverine.
actor.
His true identity is Wolverine. It's Wolverine pretending to be Hugh Jackman. That has to be it.
I love it. I mean, I feel like those are the fun ones that are like easily like, you know what I said. It's not. I mean, there's also the sad ones, kind of, you know, like political plots and like, you know, overthrowing governments in like South America and so on and so forth, whatnot. I'm like, do you have a favorite conspiracy, Sophie, as well?
Yeah, I have quite a few favorite conspiracies.
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Oh, a conspiracy connoisseur.
I think so.
Oh, it's now. I turned my conspiracy hat, my tinfoil hat, into a tinfoil beanie.
Mine's a beanie as well currently.
Mine was always a beanie, actually. I failed in my conspiracy hat.
You also don't have the antenna. They can read
Yeah.
your
That's
mind,
what I mean.
Sophie. They can read
That's
it.
what I mean.
Yeah, that foil is
That it was always a
useless. You just
beanie.
look like a
Yes.
fool now.
Or maybe you look like the fools.
Not having the antenna, did it?
Maybe you were tricked. Maybe the whole world was tricked that was the correct way to make tinfoil hats. And this is the correct way.
Maybe this
Ever
acts
think about
as
that?
like a receiver or a transmitter.
Exactly. It's an
And
antenna
I'm
to
just handing
receive.
over all of my private thought data right now. If I even exist in the first place, because I am an alleged Australian.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is actually how you just receive all of your computer generated.
That's true. This is how I receive my lines for when tourists come to the part of South America where I live.
Mine is looking at us like, what the hell is going on between these
He's
two?
looking at us
This
going,
is some
"Yeah,
deep Australian.
Have I been fooled this entire time? Do I
I'm
know
like,
these
is this
people?
even real? Am I just talking to a computer right now?
Maybe. Maybe this is all a simulation. Just Manu's simulation.
Who knows? Well, we would never know
exactly.
if this world is a simulation.
That one is actually one that really wrinkles with you sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to admit that from time to time you have moments, you know, when you feel like incredible moments of deja vu or other eerie moments. You do really think like, how crazy would it be if it really was just a whole simulation? I think that's why TV series like Black Mirror did so well. They really played with reality and like posed things that seem like sort of unreal and ridiculous, but at the same time like, really makes you think.
In a very existentially dreadful way, yes.
Exactly. But I mean, so is the idea of our whole life being a simulation. I think that's a dreadful way to think about
I
our
like this. When I search
existence.
for simulated reality, the first result is, do we live in a simulation? Chances are about 50-50. That comes from
50-50.
scientificamerican.com.
50-50. Wow.
I think the argument goes like this, that, you know, like if we could make at some point a realistic simulation of a world, if we had enough computing power, we would probably do that to like simulate different outcomes of, you know, civilization and so on and so forth. And then basically if we could have multiple simulations running for multiple outcomes and those simulations start running simulations, well then the chances that we are in a simulation become way, way higher than us being in the real world.
Yep.
That was a lot. That was a lot
That's
to
a lot to take
process.
in. But,
But yeah.
I believe Elon Musk, who people often tell me I look like on the internet,
For some reason.
is
That's
a bit,
the real conspiracy.
That is the
That
real
him is actually
conspiracy.
Elon Musk.
I do get called Australian Elon Musk, so we're stacking conspiracy theories now. But he is a big believer in simulation theory and has said the odds that we are in base reality is about 1 in a billion.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson also makes a similar argument. Though I've also, and I can't quite recite, I think, the scientific argument behind it properly, so I won't attempt, but I know there's also opposing views on that and why it's not as likely. And while it might, I think computing-wise, why it might not be possible to even simulate an entire universe inside the universe. So there's like different opinions on this. But it's an interesting thought. But I think I mean, it doesn't really matter, I think, from my perspective, whether you're living in a real universe or in a simulated universe. Because I mean, in the end, the only thing that you experience is like your personal subjective point of consciousness. So
Okay,
it doesn't really matter.
If you were given a choice, let's properly matrix this. Red pill, blue pill. Stay in the simulation or discover what reality is. What's your choice?
I mean, I guess stay.
You guess?
I mean, I don't know. I have like a nice bed. I have One Piece.
You're acting like I just asked you what you want for dinner. Do you want Thai or do you want Vietnamese?
Whatever.
I guess Thai. As if it makes no
Just
difference to
whatever.
the rest of your life going forward.
Does make no difference, really. I mean, I have all things I like. Like, I have like, you know, I have One Piece here. I have like a nice bed.
That is true.
I have a good sushi place around the corner. I'm like, I don't know.
But
like,
what if there was an even better bed, even better sushi, and even better One Piece in reality?
Well, you just gotta channel your inner Buddhist, Liam, and be happy with what you have.
Or could you reach enlightenment and experience the best
Yeah.
of everything?
I mean, you can always, but I feel like that leads down a dangerous path if you always like, oh, it could be nicer than this though. My neighbor's,
true.
I have a yacht, but my neighbor's yacht is nicer and bigger than my yacht, so I want that yacht.
But also, is there not like an innate curiosity to discover what the actual reality would be if this was a simulation?
Especially if that was posed to you, could you live the rest of your life knowing that maybe, you know, just maybe, there really was another reality
Yeah.
that I didn't explore?
I feel like
Accurate.
my life would become significantly more hollow if I knew that everything was
Why?
kind of fake. Because I know that it's not real.
But then you're fake.
But no, you're fake. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
But I mean, from your subjective point of view, it doesn't really change anything, does it? You still have your social
I mean,
relations.
it does, because everything I thought was real is now not.
Including
Literally
you.
changes
Doesn't change
everything.
things, but you feel it, right? I think that's the main point. Like, you feel those experiences.
But then
you
your
actually
reality
have-
right
And from
now isn't
every
real. Like, colors aren't real. Like, your brain produces color, right? Like, you don't even, like, even let's say we are in the real universe right now, your brain generates an image and like a sensation.
I love how you just said, let's say we are in the real universe for now. As if that's a strange hypothetical.
Well, I mean, like, just for the sake of, oh no, then here, like, my tinfoil hat fell. No, but I mean, like, you don't even have to, like, let's say just your base reality, even still, like, you don't perceive reality as it actually is. Like, you don't perceive, like, neutrons and protons and atoms and molecules. Like, what you perceive is, like, your brain's interpretation of your surroundings so you can survive better.
That was a lot of words that I'm not gonna lie, I didn't quite take in, but you did mention something very interesting about our perception of color, because as someone who enjoys the study and practice of light and lighting, perception of color intrigues me, and I would like to pose you the question, can you comprehend a new color?
Like, for example,
Liam, you've asked me this before, and I hate it. I hate it.
like, in the sense that I know, for example, there is a story about like how language influences how you perceive color, like how allegedly in ancient times, like, people couldn't see blue because there was no word for blue and blue was so rare in nature. So for example, like in Greek, like, mythology, the sky, or like in the Odyssey, the sky is actually described as gray or green, or like how in like certain tribes in the forest, like, they have like so many different words for different shades of green, so they can distinguish very similar shades of green that would look basically similar, like the same to you. They can easily tell apart. Or like different shades of blue for like people who live like in Arctic areas.
That's fascinating, because I thought that in science you saw blue and then the
No.
lights fractured everything. Is that not how it worked?
It is, but also like how you perceive things apparently is also like how you are interacting with it. So language really has an impact also, like on smells also, and so on and so forth. And sounds, for example, another example is language. For example, in Japanese, like, Japanese people have a hard time differentiating between the R and the L sound in English, right? So to them, that's kind of where the meme comes from. But because they don't have that separation in Japanese. It's like they have to actively learn to start listening and hearing the difference. So a person who doesn't speak Japanese in Japan will not hear the difference between light and right. It's just the same.
But in Japan, you've also got better examples than that, because there were certain colors that they did not have until they opened up to the rest of the world. Like, I believe orange was not like a native color that they used to see, which is why it's orange now. And
Exactly,
it just used to be
exactly.
described as red.
Yeah. So that's actually, so language and like how you interact with the world around you really has like an impact on how you see things. So that's why I'm curious, Liam, like what do you mean with like new colors? It's something in that regard.
I just want you to close your eyes, right? And picture a new color and describe it to me.
Black.
We have that one.
It's also a tone.
It is. It's not a color, Manu.
Different shade of black.
What's different about it?
It's 50 Shades of Grey,
Well, that's gray.
which is a shade, not a color.
You're not doing very well at this.
All right, Liam, can you tell me a color that you've imagined? Seeing as you're so, I think you must be
Smirky
an
about
expert.
it.
All right. So stay with me here. Picture this, right?
Okay. Am I closing my eyes right now?
Yeah.
I am.
You should always have your eyes closed, Manu. I think it'll help.
Cool. For the
Blue,
rest of the podcast. Yes.
but like super blue.
Okay.
Oh, Sophie's face is great. It's just blue, but better. That's all I've got.
I can't. Okay. And for you, that's a different color when you imagine that?
Yeah, it's super blue.
I don't know. Like, should we have taken any substances before the start of this podcast that I was not informed about? Like, I took 3 of the pills and now I see super blue. And the
I
blue
assume-
My brain
tastes
did
like
So many
chocolate.
different loops.
I think it's an interesting question to pose to people. I enjoy seeing how they respond, and I have asked this question to Sophie before, and I believe she just had a complete mental breakdown.
I did end up coming up with a response though, and I stand by it. I stand by it. I stand by it.
Yeah, would you like to share what that response was?
Yes.
is it
All
no?
right. Everyone, close your eyes.
Yep,
Okay.
Close your eyes.
doing it.
Bleak yellow.
And I believe my response was, of all of the colors you can conjure, you've chosen something so depressing and bleh.
But it makes sense.
Does
Bleak
it?
Yellow. It makes sense, doesn't it?
But like
Yellow
neither
is
the
such
very
a
Like-
bright and happy
Like a
color.
yellow devoid of all life and
Yellow,
joy. and
exactly.
like a beige banana.
how is that like neither yours, Liam, nor Sophie's is like new to me. Like I can imagine them, but they don't feel new.
I honestly, it's better than black, which was your response.
But that was a joke because I had to close my eyes.
Or gray. Okay, come on, give us your color then.
All right.
I don't think I
Redeem
can
yourself.
come up with like a new color. Honestly.
So you're just like all of those YouTube commenters critiquing away without knowing what it is to make a video.
I don't understand how that's related, but sure.
Deeply affected Liam.
You're criticizing the people doing when you haven't done the trying.
Right, I'll try.
I think
Thank
you
you.
should
A
try.
new color.
Brand new.
Okay. Brand new as in like I haven't seen it before, or brand new as in like it's not on the
Red. I've never seen red. I'm red-green colorblind. No, that doesn't count.
okay, well I guess imagine a purple black that's glowing blue.
I'm picturing the Cadbury purple.
Can you imagine that? A blue glowing purple that's actually
yeah.
black.
So in my mind, I've got a block of Cadbury chocolate in Photoshop, and I've just put a blue outer glow on it.
But is that new color? I don't know. It's a nice color.
No, it's not, Manu.
Oh, okay. How's yours new?
If I can imagine, how do you make super blue? Tell me how you do that in Photoshop, Manu.
I put the saturation to 100.
No, that's just perfect blue. It's not super.
I have to admit something, guys. My earphones just blacked out for the last, I don't know, minute or so, and I have no idea what you guys were saying.
Okay, you did not miss a lot.
Manu,
That's
I'm
right,
going
you've
to
missed
pretend that you really came up with a super cool, like enlightening,
not.
world-changing
Liam
new
called me
color.
out on
Just
it.
go with it.
I'm
Well,
not
okay, so
going to
clearly I
pretend that.
fail at imagining new colors. Let me ask you this then. How do you know, like, that what you think is blue is not green for me, but we both call it blue?
Oh, I love this question. We don't. I have
Oh,
no
yes.
idea. What is blue to to me
Yeah.
could be what you label as red. We could all have entirely different blues.
And it could apply to so many things, like food as well. How do you know that when I say it tastes good, someone else is tasting something and thinking like that it maybe tastes like if I say it's salty, you might think it's spicy.
True, yeah, but our perceptions
Yes.
of those could be different. For example, I despise sour food, but maybe my sour is like your salt.
Yeah. I do think good and bad are a bit different because good and bad kind of imply whether I like something or whether like I'm pleased with something, which is I guess more easily understandable. But like you're right, like
Subjective.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really? I feel like, for example, if something tastes
Good and bad,
or bad,
yes.
it's subjective, but I think it's less. You can more form a general image. I think of like I can see like what is sour for me might be salty for you, but clearly we have a similar understanding of good or bad tasting. Like the chances that when you say this tastes like shit, you actually think it's the best thing ever, but you still make a stupid face about it is very low. I think.
No, I think I agree with you. I agree with you, Manu, but I don't think it's because I agree with Manu that it would be easier to have a similar understanding of good and bad, but that it is because good and bad is subjective.
Because it's a value judgment.
But the bad thing to me is that it's too sour, and the bad thing to you is that it's too salty.
Yes, but bad stays bad. Bad means you don't like it, which is like a value judgment and not like a perception.
I think food might be the worst possible area to be doing this in.
I think you just got lost at the wrong intersection. Like we're not talking about the taste. We're just talking like because Sophie started by saying
yes, but if a food is good, then it depends on the taste.
yeah, but the attribute good that I attribute to it, you would understand that if I label something good, even if you don't know what it actually tastes like to me, by giving it the attribute good, you know that to me, whatever it tastes like, I have a positive experience about it.
I do, but I could have the same food and say it tastes good or bad or the opposite of whatever you said.
Yes, but then I would, like, you could tell me what it tastes to you, and I would understand what that means. If you said, like, you know what I mean? But it would be very unlikely that when I say it tastes bad, my bad is your good. I think that's not very likely.
I don't know. When it comes to food, my bad is a lot of people's good.
That's what I was going to say. If Liam and I were sitting next to each other, I think we would have very different opinions.
Oh, yes.
Or even if you and Liam were sitting next to each
If
other.
another
Manu,
human
because-
being was sitting next to me, chances are my bad is their good.
I personally just think that, like, subjective perceptions are basically impossible to know what your, like, version of yellow is. There's no way we can measure that, but I can measure what your good is. You can say, when I eat tomatoes, I feel the same way I do right now, but when I eat chocolate, I feel better or happier. It makes me feel good. So that good is like, I can put that in relation. You can communicate to me that it's a different state from your neutral state, and like something bad is a different state from your neutral state.
I mean, you could communicate that in terms of colors as well. Like this one is bright. It's vibrant. You can comment on like saturation and contrast against other colors.
But I think brightness and vibrance are a lot more objectively verifiable than hue. In relativity, of course.
I agree with you,
Yes.
which is why I said it.
I think we're actually talking about, I think we're actually agreeing, and I think we're just confused. I think we are actually agreeing on all of this.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I think the agreement is that it would make more sense to say that something that is spicy for me might actually be your understanding of sweet.
That'd be trippy.
Let me ask you this. Let me
That's
shift
your
the
favorite
topic
phrase
again.
right now, isn't it?
I know. Let me ask you this. I'm just upgrading my podcast though with this new phrase. With my new favorite podcast phrase. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think you have free will?
Oh, for fuck.
To an extent.
To what extent?
I would like to think that I do. Even without going into all of this crazy conspiracy and simulation stuff,
yeah.
I think
Generally.
my level of free will is extremely limited because of my socialization.
Okay,
and because of the media and the, everything that I
I mean,
consume.
generally,
all
as
of
a
the-
human, is there such a thing as free will?
Are you saying,
Yes.
like, is it my choice right now
Yes.
to pick up the mug of tea?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I think it is.
But
now
where
I'm very
did
confused.
you
Now I'm not so
actively
sure. Pose this.
did you actively just decide to pick that up, or was that just a thought that arose in your mind based on what your brain perceived, and you had that thought in your head.
I suppose what could have happened is that someone sent me an order through my antenna. And then
Okay,
it
let
went
me
into my
do a
brain.
different experiment.
Then I picked up the tea.
Please close your eyes.
Yes, I like this.
And now think of 3 movies.
Oh no.
Do you guys have 3 movies?
Yep.
Okay, what are your 3 movies, Liam?
Why should I tell you?
Because he's gonna say, "I knew that's what
You're just
movie
gonna
you're
say,
gonna choose."
I knew you were thinking
It's
about
like a
that.
magic card trip.
No. Just let me know your 3 movies.
Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and The Terminator, because I didn't want to think of Return of the King.
Nice. What about you, Sophie?
I feel like I'm going to have proven Manu's point, and my 3 movies that I settled on were The Departed, Titanic, and Gangs of New York.
Okay.
I was going down a very heavy Leonardo
Oscar bait,
DiCaprio
yeah.
thought. Yeah. But I have to admit that during my thought process, as I was scrambling my head for movies, Lord of the Rings did come up.
So,
It's because
why
we've spoken
did you
about it
not?
recently, though.
Did
I
you
think so.
have the freedom to choose another movie? You know many movies. Did you have the freedom, for example, to choose Ariel while you were thinking about it, or did that thought just not occur to you?
It did, because at first I went, I'm just going to go full trilogy, but then I went, no, I don't want to do the last one. Slot in a different film. I believe I chose
And you thought
to
of
do that
Ariel, the Little Mermaid?
after thinking about it. I didn't think of the Little Mermaid.
Exactly.
I rarely
so,
do.
but you know that movie.
I'm aware of many films.
So were you free to choose any movie really, or were you just free to choose whatever your brain was throwing at you when you were shouting, "Give me movie names"?
I didn't shout that, you did. Are we still having our eyes closed?
You can open your eyes.
I keep opening mine, but then you have yours eyes closed, so I keep closing mine, and then open and close. This is all very confusing.
Do you get the point I'm trying to make though? Like,
Somewhat.
So you're saying that our brain is restricting our free will, though?
I'm saying there is no free will. I'm saying your brain just throws you thoughts and you act on those thoughts and you identify with those thoughts.
What controls our brain?
Your neurons. I mean, your brain makes a choice, but not your subjective experience.
What's the difference between our brain making a choice and me making a choice?
That your subjective experience is not the same as your thoughts. Like, you're identifying with your thoughts. Your brain throws you an image of Lord of the Rings, and you're like, I just thought of Lord of the Rings, which you didn't. You're like, it just popped up. It just appeared in consciousness.
So you're saying that our brain and our subjective experience are that so separated from each other, and we can be so distinct from each other, and it's not like our brain and our subjective experiences are much more closely intertwined.
I guess I'm not sure what you said there. What I'm saying is that if you really pay attention to your thoughts, you can realize that your brain and your body does things on their own. Like, you can just sit back and, observe your thoughts and what you're doing. Like, why are you right now not thinking of the pink elephant, for example, right?
Don't do the pink elephant example.
Okay, let's do the experiment again. Like, close your eyes again for another minute.
God. Yeah.
1 minute this time.
Yes. And now, okay, I'm
Let
going to
us
ask
know
you.
when we can open them this time.
Yes, I will,
My eyes
I will.
closed the entire time.
Aaron, Liam's just like constantly closing his eyes now. Okay, I'll let you know. Okay, I'm gonna ask you again to come up with something, but this time I want you to pay attention to where the ideas you have for an answer are coming from. Please name me one One Piece character. And now observe the process at which your brain is throwing different images and memories at you. And your own thoughts are like, oh, Luffy, but Luffy is too obvious a choice. I could think of any character. I could think of Buggy.
But I did that in the first round when I chose
Yeah.
the films and then went back on my thought process.
Yeah, but now I want you to pay not attention to the character. I want you to pay attention to the thoughts popping up and the images popping up in your head and where those are coming from and where they are going when you move on to the next character.
I know, I stopped after the first one.
At this point in my head, I've got Eeyore popping up in my head from Winnie the Pooh. So I don't know if I'm doing this experiment right.
So did you ask for one character or a One Piece character?
One Piece character, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Well, you can open your eyes. Basically, in case you're interested, this is like one exercise you can do to like introduce people to mindfulness practice, which is kind of a form of meditation. So it's about noticing, that thoughts just arise and then, vanish again. And we, in our everyday lives all the time, identify with our thoughts and think we're the thinker of our thoughts, but you can notice that there is actually no thinker there. You're just, things are just arising in consciousness.
That's wonderful.
I suppose it's a really interesting question about how brains work.
I thought of Zoro because I have a big stature.
I like Zoro because he has swords.
I thought of Eeyore, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, from the Pooh Pirates.
I did feel a bit attacked when you said Luffy, because Luffy definitely did come up, and it was like, Luffy, oh no, that's too obvious. Wait, Kobe, and then it went Zoro, so I realized that.
And then
I was
Eeyore,
just going
he'll
from the
never guess
beginning.
that's
Yeah.
my One Piece
Exactly.
character.
My favorite One Piece character. Yeah, but where did that thought come from? Did you freely choose Winnie the Pooh?
But this is the question, right? Would you not argue that it's because of whatever subjective experience you had, stored those memories into your brain, which then your brain feeds back to you?
Yes, but
at a
did
later
you,
point.
your brain feeds it back to you. Of course, your brain is like, you are the product of all your experiences and all your genetics in this moment right now.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have access right now to all the memories and thoughts that your brain might throw at you the next moment?
In some capacity, because I am the keeper of my brain, am I not?
I mean, food for thought. I don't think I can I can bring you guys to
I mean,
enlightenment.
the way you're making it
in
sound
20
right now
minutes.
is like, do you have access to all of the files on your computer, even though they're not all open in front of you right now? Like, they're still there. You just need to, like, click on them and go through some folders.
I mean, your thoughts are still there. I'm just saying you're not actively producing your thoughts. They're just appearing.
But I don't know how much more we want to go into
No,
this.
we should probably not. I think we probably already lost a bunch of people here.
Yeah. It's starting to feel like a culty seminar
We've got our tinfoil
with the
hats.
hats and everything.
Liam's got
Close
his
your
eyes
eyes.
closed, he's meditating.
It's
and
very
I'm going,
important
Eeyore,
you two
Eeyore.
have now sex with me on this temple floor.
You have no free will. Once you get that out of them, it's all gravy.
No, but I generally, like, jokes
Free
aside,
terrain.
that is the core of mindfulness practice, in case you're interested in meditation.
Sophie,
It
get
does
us back
explain
on
why
track.
I'm so bad at meditation, because my brain throws out weird donkeys, crazy, sad donkeys out of nowhere. I've always been bad at meditation. But okay, yes. Conspiracy. All right, well, that one really threw me off. I don't know how keen I am going to be going back to meditation after this exercise.
The title
gonna take
of
me a
that
while.
highlight was Manu Starts a Cult.
Do you have free will now? No? Great, then take off your pants, please.
All craziness aside, we're going to go into another crazy, because one of the question that this all started with actually was Manu asking us whether I had a favorite conspiracy, and I do have a
Right,
favorite
like 30
conspiracy,
minutes
which I
ago.
still have not shared. Exactly, still have not shared. And my favorite conspiracy is the one about Paul McCartney from the Beatles.
Oh, yes, I know this one.
His alleged death. Have you guys heard about this?
No. Enlighten me, please.
The conspiracy goes that Paul McCartney actually died back, I think it was in maybe 1966 or 1963, sometime when the Beatles were still a band, were still performing and were still, recording and were still active together. And the theory goes that Paul McCartney actually died, but the Beatles actually just replaced him and the world has just never known any better. The reason why it's became so popular was because people would really deeply dive into album covers, into song lyrics.
Right.
For example, one of the biggest clues or the biggest hints that they suppose is a hint about Paul McCartney's death is the fact that if you look at the album cover for Abbey Road, the one where they're all walking at the crosswalk, Paul McCartney is the only one who's not wearing shoes, and he's the only one who's walking out of step. And so because he's
This
the
is
odd
starting
one
to
out,
remind me of One Piece theories.
and that's why I love it, because that was actually the question I was going to ask of you, Liam. I know that both Manu and I like to delve into theories at sometimes. And Liam, I know that you do too at some
recently
moments,
you
but
have.
it's quite rare that you do. And
At
so
least
when
Reddit has
people
told me
start
so.
looking at color when people start looking at color spreads and, you know, cover pages and things like that and go, this is a clue for, you know, about Luffy actually being dead, and this is a clue for Zoro actually being Luffy.
There was actually a very relevant one. Do you remember the Zoro death theory?
That Zoro is going to die.
Yeah, so there was a particular color spread. It was called Picnic with Zombies, and all of the Straw Hats were, you know, having a picnic with a zombie. And I believe Zoro was sitting on a tombstone, and that stone had a number on it, which was 944. And so after that color spread, the Zoro will die in chapter 944 theory began.
How did
Which
that
was
turn
proven
out?
wrong about 3 years ago now, I think.
But might still come
To be fair, right now as we're recording this, Zoro is in a very precarious position.
Don't spoil. Cut this out, Riley. Don't ruin this podcast for us as well. But yeah, I get your point. But I think there's a bit of a different context with One Piece, for example, because it's like the author actively encourages these types of shenanigans, I think.
Also, it's a fake world where foreshadowing can legitimately happen rather than like looking for meaning where there may not necessarily be any.
But also at the same time, when it comes to One Piece and a theory like that Zoro is going to die, it's very hard to believe it, especially when you look at, if you have been reading the series, it's like, how can you believe that Zoro is going to die? And it's not even like Zoro is going to die, you know, way off right at the end of the series, you know, that's going to be like Endgame or something like that, when everyone has their story being wrapped up. It's like now in chapter 944, when we are thick in like the middle of Wano, or like Wano has barely even progressed, and you think Zoro's going to die now?
To be fair, that color spread, I've looked it up, it was chapter 784, so 944 seems
Okay.
like a while away back then. I say to be fair, it's a stupid theory, and anyone who ever believed it is also stupid. There, I said it.
I mean, fair enough, I guess.
But then I do agree with Manu that it's because I do think that Oda does encourage these theories and does really encourage all the speculations, because some of them do, you know, seem very legitimate.
Well, something interesting that you did bring up, the Paul McCartney thing. He is far from the only musician who is conspiratized, and the
is
first
true.
thing I actually thought about was the fake Eminem theory. Are you familiar with that?
No.
I was thinking about Elvis living on the
Elvis as
North
well.
Pole.
Elvis
Oh,
is a
with
big
Elvis,
Hitler.
I've heard that one.
Of course, you'd think of Hitler, Manu.
Or so
But
you
with
think I do.
Eminem, do you have free will, Manu, or is Hitler controlling you right now?
I have your free will, Liam. I'm in
That's-
your head. I'm in your head right now. It's fostering like a little
Okay,
weed.
okay. What am I gonna do next?
Well, first of all, you're going to have to take off your shirt, please. All right.
Eminem.
All right.
How did he know?
No, my tinfoil hat. I'm losing control.
Too excited.
It was on track for a second, and then we just went right back off.
Please.
There is a theory that Eminem died around 2006, between like a 5-year gap between albums,
Right.
and that he was replaced with a clone. However, the theory deepens because apparently this clone glitched in an interview around 2013, and so now he's not just a clone, he's an android. That is the leading Eminem theory.
Why? Why?
To continue making money.
But what was the glitch?
Eminem, I don't know. But apparently he did. This is all like wild allegations.
It's what? It's not real?
Another riff on the theory that Eminem died in 2006 and was cloned by popular music's powers is a 2013 BBC Radio 1 interview. As seen in the video, there is video evidence of this. I could link it to you.
Also, the interview glitched mid, so there was a glitch.
Apparently, Eminem himself glitched.
Like,
It's the part where he's like, "Stay out of my head," and then just stares.
Okay, sure.
That is the Eminem Android glitch.
And like say something to the audience. Oh. Very real. Okay, let me play a game with you.
No, not another
Let's play
I've
real
taken off my
conspiracy.
pants enough during this podcast.
Let's play real conspiracy or fake, or like, was that conspiracy actually real or not?
Right.
okay, I like this.
Okay, let's start with Sophie. After World War
Fake.
II, the United States created a secret joint intelligence objective agency in which they brought more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians, many of whom had direct ties to the Nazi Party, to work for the US government. Its primary focus was for the US to gain an advantage in the Cold War. Real or fake, Sophie?
I'm gonna go true. That's my level of faith in the US government.
It's real. It's called Operation Paperclip.
Stings like a paperclip.
It sounded pretty legit. That's usually what happens after wars, though. You kind of like unite with the specialists of your enemy to tackle the new enemy.
Exactly.
That's why we have a podcast together.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, it's a lot of history between the three of us.
Okay, next one. Let's go with Liam.
Ah, yes, the other option.
The Church of Scientology didn't want anything bad about them on record, and so they went to criminal means to make sure there wasn't anything. They called it Operation Snow White, and it included an estimate 5,000 covert agents of church members who infiltrated 136 government agencies to scrub unfavorable records about Scientology and its founder.
Oh my god. It could easily be fake, but I have to say true because it involves Scientology and you can never, ever, ever underestimate anything involved with Scientology.
It is, in fact, real, yeah.
Terrifying.
Next one for Sophie, I guess. Project Sunshine doesn't sound... Project Sunshine doesn't sound so
slipped into your
funny
German
when
accent.
you found out what it's all about. In the 1950s, the US government secretly collected human tissue, primarily from dead people without permission from next of kin. The purpose was to monitor the effects of radioactive fallout from nuclear weapon tests.
I'm gonna go true because I know that the US government
think
did
it's
do
true
a
as
bunch
well.
of crazy stuff without telling its citizens. I remember reading about crazy experiments like this when they like let out gas or spike the water or
it's
something
true.
like that as well.
Yes, they also did like
And-
syphilis tests and stuff like that.
Yeah,
on
and the
black
thing
people.
is like these sorts of so-called, like could it be real? Like it's so ridiculous, it's so horrifying that it sounds fake, but it's actually true. Like I think this is the reason why you can't help but be sympathetic to people who do, form some conspiracy
Well,
theories.
because
Yeah.
conspiracies do happen
Exactly.
much more often than they don't.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that really struck me during this whole like COVID pandemic, especially because there's been so many conspiracies about what the vaccines really are and things like that.
We're gonna
And
get a little warning under the YouTube video
Yeah.
now, like
Right.
redirecting to the COVID-19 website.
Oh really? Okay. Should I stay clear of the topic then?
You can
I
go
can
for
stay
it if
clear.
you want.
We're just gonna distance ourselves from you, Sophie. But
Socially.
Go socially. Go full in.
But it's not really about COVID. I won't talk about that. But
Well, stop
it's just.
saying it.
Sorry, we've got an editor. This isn't live. We'll cut it. COVID.
Go.
Sophie!
You can't say COVID 3 times
But-
in the mirror.
No, that's when it appears. It infects you.
But so my role, I told you guys this before, that I work as a policy officer. And so part of my job is looking
Like
at
a
a lot
police
of...
officer, but not
it's
quite as
really-
Police officer.
It's Yes, it's a policey officer. But basically my job is to review proposals by the government before they enact new laws, before they actually pass it through Parliament. And so I represent our company and I represent our company's members as to what I
Our
think.
government trusts you.
Just me.
Koala
No.
Sex
You
Protection
have
Act.
a lot more power than I thought you did.
It's not a
should.
government role. No. I work for a company.
No, but you advise the government.
I make submissions, yes, on behalf of our company and its members in response to the government, yes.
Sounds like a lobby group, really.
Yeah. I had to appear before a parliamentary hearing the other week. It's
What did you do?
Oh no!
it's just to-
Sophie,
just to give
Sophie.
my
She was in on it all along. The twist at the
I am
end.
the
Illuminati
conspirator.
Villain
confirmed, yes.
reveals itself.
But yeah, it's a really interesting job actually because it really is because you
I love
really
manipulating the government. It's great. It's so interesting.
the way that I can, get into their ears and say that Manu, I think we should all join Manu's secret church and
Please.
And pay some church
rob
tax.
ourselves
Please,
of our free
everyone,
will.
join my sex cult.
I mean, if that's what you called it, that would be one thing.
There's meditation.
Manu's sex cult.
Yeah, the MSC.
Suddenly you're gonna
That sounds so much more legit, actually. The MSC
the
sounds very
MSC.
authoritative. What does that stand for? It's not important.
Don't worry
No,
about
don't
it.
worry about it. Seriously about my job. You guys, you'll have, when you start looking, when you actually start reading some of the reports and when you start reading some of the policies that the government wants to pass through Parliament.
Right, you
you're kinda
think,
thinking,
can I guess?
Yeah.
You're thinking the government is not functioning well enough to do any full-blown conspiracy in the first place.
Exactly. That is exactly right. It's just anyone who thinks that the government actually is fully capable and functional enough and have everything, have their shit together essentially
That would be wonderful,
to be or to be able to run these deep conspiracies. It's far from the case. But also on the other hand, it's quite two-pronged because the government doesn't need to do anything quite covertly because they do a lot of really crappy stuff quite overtly. And they don't even really make much of an effort to hide it from you. It's just that it's just not in, everyday media and people just don't know about it enough.
I would agree. Also, I think one thing that's always a good sign is the more people are necessary to, participate in a conspiracy, I think the more unlikely it becomes that everyone shuts up. It's like the COVID thing. If the vaccine or COVID was a hoax, you don't get the world's entire doctor population to play that role, right? Or I feel I think there is actually a scientific paper on there's a limit of people where the more once this number is crossed, it gets
A conspiracy
exceedingly
limit?
Yeah, it is because people just people talk, especially if they're supposed to not talk about shit.
Interesting. I would be keen to know what the conspiracy limit is before it starts becoming unreasonable.
Look
We're
that up.
talking 20, 500, 1,000.
How do I Google that? How many people
Do you need to start a
in
conspiracy?
conspiracy?
Wiki, how to start conspiracy.
Here, how many people does it keep to take a conspiracy alive?
Or more like how many does it take to tank it?
Yeah, to kill a conspiracy.
If we've got 20 people and we, bring in the 21st, is that our conspiracy just done?
So it requires 400,000 people believing it's conspiracy to keep it alive. But then there should be another one.
But how many people to be in on it, right?
Yeah. There's a number like that as well. I don't want to sign up for your newsletter. No, thank you, good sir.
But would you like to sign up for the MSC?
I was about to say that.
Would you like to
And
sign
our
up for
newsletter, yes.
the monosex cult? I think if I see this correctly, it's 6,700 people. But there's it's a function also of time. So it depends how many people are involved. The more people involved and the longer the time span, the less likely a conspiracy is to stay undercover.
If we wanted to start a conspiracy, our limit is 6,669.
Basically.
Okay, that's a good guide.
6969 and 69 days.
So essentially, none of us would be able to, announce it through our YouTubes and try to convert people and try to rope people into our conspiracy because...
No, we'd need a very small YouTuber on board to do that for us.
Maybe do it through Discord or something.
Nice. I started a cult on Discord.
The Discord cult. That's bound to have happened, surely.
Oh, I'm sure it has. I mean, the...
Discord is like prime cult space.
There's a secret messaging app that I think deletes messages. I don't know really how it works, but I think it's supposed to be untraceable. That I think a lot of people who do, like criminal activity or like, drug use and things like that goes on this app.
Did you just put all people who use drugs? Did you criminalize everyone who does drugs right now?
No, just in Australia. I don't even know, to be honest. But it was one of the apps that was popular amongst, drug dealers and things like that. Right. But the same app was actually used by the Liberal Party of Australia, by the government, to discuss their thoughts before they enacted what's called a spill in Australia, where you overturn and where the internal party votes against the acting prime minister. Or maybe it was the Labour Party. It might have been Julia Gillard. I can't remember, but it was actually...
It would have been quite a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I have no opinion on this.
And not only that, but she was involved in 2 spills, because the first spill was to get rid of Kevin Rudd, and then the second spill was to bring Kevin Rudd back in.
We have a lot of those occurrences in Australia. We had a week where I think we changed, was it like 3 prime ministers? We had 2 or 3 spills within 1 week, where the prime minister just changed.
But they were quite rapid.
Yeah, it was like within the span of a month or something, we had 2 or 3 prime ministers.
Yeah, because what was it? Turnbull, Abbott, Morrison?
Yeah.
They happened in fairly quick succession.
And I suppose on that strange government and, the state of Australia's politics.
There's an election coming up. It's relevant.
And that is true. It's very relevant just for the Australians who happen to watch this podcast.
Which make up 66.6% of the hosts of this podcast, or 0% if Australia doesn't exist.
Right. Either way, terrifying.
The election might be fake. Australia might be fake. We're all fake.
Except Manu.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
Who doesn't have free will.
Well, neither do you.
And he only exists through his cult.
If I don't exist, can I have free will?
I'll think about it till next week. Maybe I'll give it back to you.
I'm not asking you for permission.
No, Liam, you're not allowed to have it. I'll give it to you next week.
Can I have 1 free will, please?
But Manu, you promised.
Okay, guys. Well, I'll talk to you next week, I guess.
Okay, all right.
Podcast over.
Bye-bye.